for today, January 7th, 2020. In our lead stories nationally, SKN's Prime Minister extends best wishes to former Premier of Nevis on his retirement from active politics. And parking restricted for all private vehicles at the West Bus Terminal in St. Kitts. Regionally, a 6.4 magnitude earthquake hits Puerto Rico a day after another quake rocked the island. Internationally, John Bolton ready to testify in Trump's impeachment trial. And in sports, Russell Westbrook to sit out match versus the Hawks, but will play versus Thunder. We'll have the details to these and other stories after this short break.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse, Vaughan.
Welcome back, and now for the national news. Prime Minister Dr. The Honorable Timothy Harris has extended his best wishes to former Premier of Nevis, lone member of the opposition, Joseph Parry, on his retirement from active politics. In a statement issued on Monday, January 6th, he said, and I quote, "The Honorable Joseph Parry has rendered distinguished service to his country and fellow citizens during an illustrious public service career." Mr. Parry notably headed up the post-independence Nevis Civil Service, 1983 to 1987, before being elected on the NRP ticket in December 1987, end quote. Mr. Parry was also the only successful NRP candidate to win a seat on the Nevis Island Assembly election of December 2017. The Concerned Citizens Movement, or CCM, won 4 seats. Prime Minister also said, "My cabinet colleagues and I take this opportunity to convey our sincere respect and gratitude on the occasion of his retirement from active politics." Meanwhile, best wishes continue to pour in for Nevis's former premier, Mr. Joseph Parry. As the leader of the opposition and the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party SKNLP, Dr. the Honourable Denzel Douglas has extended best wishes to Mr. Parry. In a statement, Dr. Douglas was quoted as saying, "Today I would like to wish my very good friend and ally, the Honourable Joseph Walcott Parry, a happy retirement. Joseph Parry is one of those rare personalities you meet that you instantly become friends with." He added that neither time nor space would permit me to do justice to the contribution that he has made to the social and economic development of Nevis, its people, the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and the Caribbean as a whole. According to Dr. Douglas, over the course of his remarkable life, Mr. Parry's aim has always been to serve and lift people up. In closing, he stated, "On behalf of the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party and the Next Gen SKN team of leaders, as well as on my personal behalf, I would like to thank the Honourable Joseph Parry for being the exemplary statesman and role model that he has been." Effective Wednesday, January 8th, 2020, from 6 a.m., parking is restricted at the West Bus Terminal in Basseterre, St. Kitts to all private vehicles. According to a notice from the police force, this is due to the rehabilitation work at the West Bus Terminal, which is next to the ferry terminal. However, only taxis and motor omnibuses are permitted to park in the above-mentioned area. The rehabilitation work, which is being carried out by ENJ Construction under the auspices of the St. Christopher Air and Seaports Authority, or SCASPA, began in October 2019 and was earmarked for completion by December 2019. While the bus terminal will occupy the same physical space as the current one, improved features will include increased holding capacity, fully covered facility, comfortable seating, and a defined passenger holding areas. Meanwhile, taking into consideration of the fact that the West Bus Terminal project has not been completed, the VON Newsline has made attempts to contact the Minister with responsibility for SCASPA and public infrastructure, the Honorable Ian Patches Liburd. We were unsuccessful in contacting the Minister, but questions such as why the project has not met its completion date still remain. Providing adequate housing for citizens and residents has been one of the mandates of the Concerned Citizens Movement, or CCM-led Nevis Island administration since winning the December 2017 general elections. Keeping its campaign mandate of improved infrastructure on the island, the administration has constructed some 58 homes as follows: Bath Village 6, Cotton Ground 2, Maidens 38, Cherry Garden 7, and New River 5. As we enter into 2020, the administration is looking towards its continued effort in providing home ownership to individuals here on the island. Speaking to the VON Newsline, Minister with responsibility for housing, the Honorable Alexis Jeffers, indicated that work is ongoing on 3 projects, namely University Heights, Cedar View Phase 2, and Hamilton Developments. He noted that work has begun in the Hamilton area on one of the newest housing projects they have embarked upon for the island.
The work has started in earnest at Hamilton in that the clearing has already been done, the road was cut, the water department would have installed the water lines. We're now waiting on NEVLEC to install the infrastructure that would enable us to have electricity in that area. So I will say the work has started already. Obviously, these particular infrastructure that I'm talking about are required in order to have any level of construction that has to be done.
Minister Jeffers noted that from a field of some 30 applicants for the area, they have 4 confirmed homeowners, and the Nevis Housing and Land Development Corporation will consider in short order and commence construction in the near future.
Over the next couple of weeks to a month, you should see some work in that regard. Now, the process is like this. Those persons would have been identified as the first 4 who will commence construction for. Those plans would have to go through the necessary process at the planning department, and then once the approval is had from the planning department, then we'll start our construction. So that's why I'm gauging and saying that we're looking at just about another month about before we see some actual construction on the ground, which will be, I would say, a huge achievement, because it was 3 acres of land that was purchased during the course of 2019, and quite a substantial amount of work would have had to be done to get it to where it's at now in terms of clearing and removal of boulders and various obstructions that were on that particular piece of land.
The Honorable Alexis Jeffers. The corporation is looking to construct some 13 to 15 homes in that housing and development. Division C of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force, or Nevis Division, held its New Year celebration service on Monday, January 6th at the Charlestown Police Station. Pastor Marcia Tomlinson, who was the feature speaker at the service, encouraged the officers present to take the forefront with integrity.
So as leaders and officers in the society, you're expected to take the forefront and lead by integrity. Character or integrity is what you are when no one is looking. Because it is very easy for us to do that which is good and right when all eyes are on us. But when nobody else is looking, what's your position? Integrity must govern your lives. And if there is no integrity, which is foundational, you will go with the flow, whatever goes. And the result is that you become a product of society's direction, which is not always right.
She mentioned that officers must protect and be professional with confidential information.
You must guard information and seek to protect the identity of persons who may volunteer information. I am sure there have been instances where confidential information leaked and ended up where it should not. Your mission is to protect. Years ago, when I worked with PricewaterhouseCoopers, each year we had to sign a statement or document of confidentiality, saying that we pledged to keep our clients' information private because we were handling people's financial affairs. And each year we had to sign that document, but we not only signed it, we kept the privacy.
Pastor Marcia Tomlinson. Build with earthquakes in mind. That is the theme for this year's observance of Earthquake Awareness Month, which is being held throughout the month of January by the Nevis Disaster Management Department, or NDMD. Director of NDMD, Mr. Brian Dyer, explains.
This year we are partnering with the Chamber of Industry and Commerce, with several businesses coming on board. We would still continue with the partnership from the Ministry of Education and the schools. Our champion for earthquake activity here in Nevis with the schools is the Charleston Primary School, and they are on board again this year, as well as the faith-based organizations, and that will be strengthened now by the business community. So we are looking holistically at ensuring that every entity on the island of Nevis is aware of what to do for the various hazards.
In light of the various hazards Mr. Dyer mentioned, he provided some measures to take if or when an earthquake or tsunami occurs.
In the event of a major earthquake, it's important that persons protect their head and limbs. That's why we ask persons to do the drop cover and hold on. If the desk is moving, you move with the desk. After the shaking stops, if you're not injured, or if you recognize persons in your immediate environment is injured, you can assist that person of evacuating the building. If you're on the outside, then you crouch to the floor during the shaking. And if it's so severe that the shaking that you cannot stand, that's an immediate sign of a tsunami. That is time for you to move inland and 100 feet above sea level. That's our designated safe areas around both islands, St. Kitts and Nevis. If you have to evacuate, leave your vehicle. It is safer to use your feet.
Director of the Nevis Disaster Management Department, Mr. Brian Dyer. And finally, in our national news segment, the Department of Agriculture here on Nevis is gearing up to lay out its agenda for the 2020 calendar year. This will be done at an event to be held on Monday, 20th January at the Nevis Performing Arts Center, or NEPAC, from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. A similar event was held in 2019, dubbed Agenda 2019. This year's event will be held under the theme Connecting to Sustained Productivity Through Communication and Responsibility. Minister of Agriculture here on Nevis, the Honorable Alexis Jeffers, outlined the activities of the event to this media house.
It is a simple theme, but of course we are hoping that through this theme we can have some discussions on that day and document those discussions. We are hoping to have presentations, for example, by the Director of Agriculture, representative from Cardi, and also representatives of the different farming associations here on the island of Nevis, and farmers themselves who would make presentations there. There will be an open discussion, of course, that will ensue.
The Honorable Alexis Jeffers. He further invited the general public to go on out and to be a part of the discussions that will take place. That is the national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vaughanradio.com or check us out on Facebook at Vaughan Radio or our Vaughan Radio YouTube channel for these and other stories. News from across the region is next.
Bank of Nevis, we know you have your personal as well as your business needs, and we're here to help. Our knowledgeable staff will work with you to help you achieve the financial success that you or your company needs in a competitive market. We offer solutions to make your banking experience easier, like our savings and checking accounts. Be sure to ask about our youth savers accounts and our Bank of Nevis Go Club. We offer a wide range of personal loans, including mortgage, land, student, auto, and consumer loans. Have access to your funds instantly with our Be Online internet banking and our debit and credit cards. We make international banking and investing easy. How's your business? Give it the leverage it really needs by letting the Bank of Nevis assist you with all the necessary funding for all your business expenses. It's that easy. What are you waiting for? The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life.
Like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/The Bank of Nevis.
Welcome back, and now for the regional news. Out of Puerto Rico, a 6.4 magnitude earthquake and several other strong tremors struck the territory this morning on January 7th, killing at least one man and injuring several others, one day after a 5.8 magnitude quake shook the island on Monday, officials said. Power outages and damage have been reported near the island's southern coast, including the city of Ponce, where a 77-year-old man was killed and at least 8 others were injured, Ponce Emergency Management Director Angel Vasquez said Tuesday morning. Edition.cnn.com says the 4.6 quake struck at 4:24 a.m., centered just off Puerto Rico's southern coast, about 6 miles south of Indus Town, the U.S. Geological Survey said. Several other strong quakes followed, including a magnitude 5.8 tremor striking just south of Indus at 7:18 a.m., USGS said. In Guayanilla, just north of Indus, homes and a church were damaged. Puerto Rico Electric Power Authority reported widespread outages across the island after its power plants activated an auto-protective mechanism following the quake. In a statement posted on social media platform Twitter, Puerto Rico's Governor Wanda Vasquez urged citizens to remain calm as the government responds to the most recent quake. Puerto Rico has experienced a flurry of earthquakes since December 28th, ranging in magnitude from 4.7 to Sunday's 5.8. Barbados has recorded the first murder for 2020, 4 days into the new year, nationnews.com says. The man who was shot in an alley on Saturday, January 4th, near Block 1 Nursery Close, Eden Lodge, St. Michael, passed away. The shooting occurred around 8:20 p.m., and the victim was taken to the Queen's Elizabeth Hospital via a private vehicle. There was a recorded 49 murders in 2019. News from Trinidad. The principal of a preschool in Port of Spain was stabbed in a classroom on Monday, January 6th. She died at the hospital. Police said Giselle Phillip was at her workplace, Baby's Preschool, when she was attacked at around 7:20 a.m. The attack was witnessed by some pupils. It happened as Phillip was preparing for the start of the first day of the new school term. Police said a domestic dispute may have been the reason behind the attack, according to StLuciaNewsOnline.com. In Roseau, Dominica, the Dominica Employers Federation, or DEF, on Friday said in order to comply with the demands from the public for more shopping hours, it would seek to have the government amend existing legislation so as to allow business places to operate on Sundays. Executive Director Achiel Joseph was quoted as saying by nationnews.com, "We are going to use a different strategy to communicate that. It is the business sector thinking on how to treat Sundays as far as employment is concerned in this country." He said at present, Dominica has the Public Holidays Act that declares Sundays to be public holidays. He added that what has been happening in Dominica for quite a while is that the country is demanding from the private sector more convenient shopping hours. However, the Waterfront and Allied Workers Union, WAWU, has already said it would not support the initiative by the DEF and that workers will never return to slavery. WAWU General Secretary Curtis Augustus told May Day meeting recently that the union would fight and confront those who want to get rid of Sunday as a public holiday. And finally, out of Jamaica, 2 men were shot dead in Maypen, Clarendon during an early morning attack by gunmen on Monday. The deceased have been identified as Craig Smith, 41 years old of Chateau District, Clarendon, and Bonita Williams, or Bunny, a 61-year-old St. Elizabeth resident. The murders bring to 3 the number of persons killed in the parish in 24 hours, and a total of 4 the number of persons killed in the parish since the start of the year, police sources told Loop News. Reports are that about 5:42 a.m., residents heard explosions in a section of Bird Hill community and alerted the police, according to loopjamaica.com. A team of investigators later arrived, and during a search, the bodies of 2 men were found. Meanwhile, in another incident on Sunday, another man was shot dead by gunmen in the Hayes section of the parish. The victim in that attack has been identified as 35-year-old Stefano Frank. Police said there is no indication that the 2 incidents were linked. That is the regional news segment. International news is up next. Welcome back, and now for the international news. Former White House National Security Advisor John Bolton says he is willing to testify at President Donald Trump's impeachment trial in the Senate. Mr. Bolton said in a statement, "I have concluded that if the Senate issues a subpoena for my testimony, I am prepared to testify." He has previously complied with the White House directive not to cooperate with the Democratic-led inquiry, the BBC says. Mr. Bolton would be the most senior former Trump advisor to testify. Mr. Trump, a Republican, was impeached by the Democratic-controlled House of Representatives last month. He was the 3rd U.S. president ever to incur such a congressional sanction. Mr. Bolton wrote on his website on Monday, during the present impeachment controversy, I have tried to meet my obligations both as a citizen and as a former national security advisor. The former national security advisor was fired by President Trump in September after 16 months on the job. More than 30 people have been killed in a stampede as Iranians flocked to the burial of top commander killed in a U.S. drone strike, Iranian media reports. The deaths led to the postponement of Qasem Soleimani's interment. The new time will be announced later, officials said. Soleimani is being laid to rest in his hometown of Kerman, Iran, with millions already estimated to have packed the streets for funeral processions. His killing has raised fears of a conflict between the U.S. and Iran. He was widely considered the 2nd most powerful man in Iran, behind Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. The U.S. saw him as a terrorist and a threat to American troops. The BBC's Alan Johnston reports.
Millions of mourners have taken part in a series of funeral ceremonies for General Soleimani that have been held across Iran over the past 3 days, and a colossal crowd filled the streets of the city of Kerman, where the commander was to be buried. In the highly emotional throng, there was a crash. Exactly how many people were killed and injured is not yet clear. Officials now say that they've had to postpone the burial ceremony on account of the overcrowding.
An Indian court has set an execution date for 4 men convicted of the 2012 gang rape and murder of a student in the capital, Delhi. Akshay Thakur, Vinay Sharma, Pawan Gupta, and Mukesh Singh were sentenced to death by fast-track court in 2013.
The court has said the convicts should be hanged on the 22nd of January at 7 a.m. local time. They were found guilty of gang raping and murdering a 23-year-old female student on a bus in Delhi 7 years ago. The incident had triggered mass protests in cities across India. In response, the government passed stricter legislation to deal with cases of rape. The parents of the woman, who cannot be identified according to Indian laws, had filed a plea to expedite the execution of the death sentences.
And finally, in our international news segment, Tokyo prosecutors have issued an arrest warrant for the wife of fugitive ex-Nissan boss Carlos Ghosn. Carol Ghosn is expected of making false statements to a Tokyo court in April, investigators said. Mr. Ghosn skipped bail in December, joining his wife in Beirut. A spokeswoman for the Ghosn family said the arrest warrant for Mrs. Ghosn was pathetic and was linked to a news conference due to be given by Mr. Ghosn on Wednesday. Japan is seeking Mr. Ghosn's extradition from Lebanon, although the country does not have a treaty with Japan. That is the international news segment. Sports is up next.
I need a cool laptop, a new backpack, and so do all my friends. I need cute notebooks, folders, flash drives, pencils, and my pens. School is exciting, but it's no fun without all the tools I need. But I'm at ease, cause it's a breeze if I shop at TDC. Oh yeah!
It's back to school at TDC Business Center and City Drugstore Nevis. Your one-stop shop for all your school supply needs. Get bundle savings on backpack and computer packages, but save 20% off all back-to-school materials and printers. Back-to-school shopping is made easy at TDC Business Center and City Drugstore Nevis. See stores for details.
Welcome back, and now into sports. In basketball, Russell Westbrook will sit out a match, Rockets versus Hawks. Houston Rockets are doing what they can to ensure he will play in his homecoming game versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Rockets will visit the Thunder on Thursday night, December 9th, but before that, they visit the Hawks on Wednesday night, December 8th. NBA.com says Westbrook has been held out of one game in back-to-back sets this season, but that strategy will be slightly altered this week. Rockets coach Mike D'Antoni told reporters on Monday that Westbrook will miss the game versus Atlanta to ensure he'll play against Oklahoma City. Westbrook spent 11 seasons with the Thunder, amassing more than 18,000 points, 5,700 rebounds, 6,800 assists, and countless memorable moments in Oklahoma City. He's averaging 24.1 points, 7.9 rebounds, and 7.0 assists per game this season. In tennis, Serena Williams started her fourth decade on the WTA Tour with a straight-set victory over Italian qualifier Camila Giorgi at the Auckland Classic. The 38-year-old American, playing for the first time since losing in September's U.S. Open final, won 6-3, 6-2. In cricket, front foot no ball technology will be trialed in the limited over series between West Indies and Ireland starting in Barbados Tuesday today. This will see the third umpire making no ball calls, as was the case during the West Indies' recent limited overs tour of India. The third umpire will communicate no ball calls to the on-field umpires. Tuesday's Day 1 game at Kensington Oval starts a 6-match series between the sides. The on-field umpires will not call front foot no balls unless instructed by the third umpire, but will remain responsible for other on-field decisions. The ICC trialed no-ball technology for the first time during a one-day series between England and Pakistan in 2016. England's current test series in South Africa has been affected by no-ball issues. That's it for sports. The latest weather report is next. The weather tonight, partly cloudy with a 30% or low chance of showers. The weather tomorrow, partly sunny with a 30% or low chance of showers. Winds east at 8 to 15 knots or 15 to 28 kilometers per hour. Seas 1.2 meters or 4 feet. Sunrise tomorrow 6:42 a.m. Sunset tomorrow 5:52 p.m. And that's how we wrap up the major news package for today, Tuesday, 7th January 2020. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nationally, SKN's Prime Minister extends best wishes to former Premier Nevis on his retirement from active politics. And parking restricted for all private vehicles at the West Bus Terminal in St. Kitts. Regionally, 6.4 magnitude quake hits Puerto Rico a day after another quake rocked the island. Internationally, John Bolton ready to testify in Trump's impeachment trial. And in sports, Russell Westbrook to sit out matches versus the Hawks, but will play versus Thunder. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Daniel Moore wishing you a pleasant evening.